What's up, everybody? It's Mario from TCG, and I've come to give you guys another week cross deck profile. Today, we're going to be looking at DXM, and this is going to be our Deus Center deck. So we're going to go ahead and jump straight into the list here. For anybody who just wants the deck list, here you guys go. Just leave a like on your way out. We're pretty much just going to do what we always do. We're going to break down every card and the Elric deck and whatnot. Talk about the reason they decided to pick these cards. To me, this is a pretty standard list for something like Deus, at least for this set. And I think it's a good starting point to be able to take some inspiration from. So let's go ahead and move into the Elric deck. Deus, for those of you who don't know, is apparently going to be basically the main threat for DXM in the future. It is definitely one of the stronger centers, and it's only kind of held back just for that. Whereas sets moving forward are going to be a menace in the meta. But there's a lot of good reasons. This is a very strong center. So let's go ahead and talk about her effects. During your turn, the Cygni in front of a Cygni that has a soul in it gets -2 power. Has the effect to attach a soul from under it, or to a Cygni as a soul. And you can exceed 3, remove a piece from your Elric deck, and if you do, use salvage 3 without Guardian from your trash to your hand. So this is really good. The -2k power is really good, especially if your opponent leaves with 2ks. It pretty much punishes them. You can just attach, and it will get vanished immediately as long as it's in front. So something very similar to Musica, where you're just not allowed to leave 2ks against Deus, otherwise they can punish you really hard for removal. And the salvage 3 is incredibly strong, giving you a lot of selectivity in the mid game when you really need it. And all just for getting rid of a piece, it's all free, which is really cool during the main phase, which is what you want to see. But yeah, and our piece is completely optional to use, so her Exceed 3 just comes up quite a bit. We're going to go ahead and talk about Deus 2 and 1. So they have an ability when they're attached to Soul. They both have on-attack effects, and Deus 2 is -10k and Deus 1 is -8k. This can also be comboed with Deus 3 to basically make it -12 or -10, which is really nice. These work pretty much perfectly where we want them. They just give us more access to removal, and yeah, it's just really good. And talking about the assist rigs, we have X Echo, which you can discard a red to draw 3. And then when it is used as an exceed cost, you can discard a card and draw a card. And then we have X Crossfire. You may pay a colorless for the level of the target Cygni on your opponent's field, and if you do, banish it. So if it's a level 3, you pay 3. If it's level 2, you pay 2, and vice versa. And then it has the second effect to basically remove 2 of your opponent's enter that don't share a color with their opponent's center Elrig. This is really good because this happens on your opponent's turn, so they can't do something like Xeno. And it just helps choke out enter, because we are going to be doing a lot of assassin as well, and we are having the on attack removal effects with Deus 2 and 1. So this works really well into our deck, and we like to abuse this as much as we can when we can. But we do prefer to use it early so we can have 7 limit, and to also just use it as cost effectively. Pretty much vanishing a 1 is you want to be at. Next we got Machina Wing Slash, something good in the last deck profile. You can vanish a level 1 Cygni and then add a level 1 Cygni without guard from your trash to your hand, which is really nice. So once again, just being able to have a +2 kind of effect on it, which is good. And then we have Machina Bind. This one we weren't using last time, but this has pay 3. You choose 2 of your opponent's Cygni and they get on attack. They lose -20k, and you can pay a black and 2 colorless to also give that to another Cygni. So it kind of works once again like a Madoka Clap. This is our replacement for what would be Deus Shield, but since we're running Deus as our center, I think this is the second best option. Just being able to negate your opponent's whole attack phase is pretty different. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't think anything's going to be hitting over that 20k threshold unless they're playing some major power pump deck, maybe Ad Center or Terra Beast. But usually this should be able to deter attacks. As for the pieces, we are running Trigger Victory. This is already really strong. For those of you who don't know, you crush one of your opponent's life cloth, and then you can salvage a card without guard from your trash to your hand. Amazing card, just allows you to have some recurrence, and it's just pay 1 burn. Easy. And then next we have Death Deck, which is you can pay 2 black, pay a colorless. You can only activate if you have 2 black Elrics. You can target Cygni on your opponent's field against -1 power, and then choose one of the following for every 10 cards in your trash. You can either salvage 2 Cygni that share a color with your Elrig, or you can mill your opponent for 10. This can come up occasionally. The mill 10 is actually quite nice because something like with Trigger Victory, you can main phase burn your opponent for 2 sometimes, you trigger a victory and then possibly out. But a good majority of the time we are trashing it with the Deus 3 Exceeds effect, but it can come up, which is I think this is a pretty good piece overall. You can also replace it with Xenocluster. I think those are the two best slots for this. I wouldn't try, but I definitely like using this when especially when you can burn it for one during the main. So let's go ahead and move on to the Cygni. We have all of our level ones here. We have 4 Baphomet, 4 Ipatam, 4 Baal, and then 2 of this red Cygni. I don't know the name. But Baphomet is on play mill 3, and then if you have 5 more cards in drop, it is a 7k. This is pretty much our good starting Cygni that we want to open with. You either want to open with like 2 of these or 2 Ipatams, able to create like that Tinky port state so we don't get punished by Rommel. Even though Rommel isn't going to be as popular anymore, it's still a good way to play around it. For Ipaton, this is what we featured in our last deck profile. It has the when you trigger, you can give minus 8k to one of your opponent's Cygni. Very good on a 5k stat line, which is nice. Then next we got 4 Baal. This is on play mill 3, and then you can pay a black and a colorless as a life burst. Something. So this pretty much removes anything when you hit as a life burst. We do play just for the mill. It feeds into our Baphomet and also feeds our salvaging in the early game, and then it can also just selectively fill up our drop when we need to. And it can help us reach the death deck like 10 to 20 card threshold. And then this last 2 copies of this red Cygni, once again, I don't have the names, so I'm sorry. But it's basically Ipatom, it just vanishes in 8k or less. It doesn't get 8k power, but it vanishes in 8k or less and on a 5k body. This kind of rounds up our defensive that we want for level 1. And it gives us a good amount of red to be able to slot in. Moving on into the level 2s, we play 3 copies of Brutus. As long as this is in your center Cygni zone, it gains the ability whenever this attacks, you can either mill your opponent for 4 or mill yourself for 4. So this is usually if you want to mill your opponent for 4, this helps reach a certain threshold for them in the early game. This can roughly put them like around 20 cards, which is really nice. And so yeah, it just helps us have more options with that deck. And yeah, I just like having that option. Other than that, you can self mill, help you reach your own death deck threshold. But aside that, very solid card and very like template, because there's a lot of these that came out in this set. Other than that, we got 4 Lancelot and then Deafening Inferno. Inferno's still good. Lancelot's still good. Pretty much no need to explain the red card. But let's go ahead and talk about the level 3s here. So we have 4 copies of Kentucky. We talked about this in our last deck profile. You can rest a Blackout Work for Harmony. This time we don't have 2 to rest, so we can only play 1 a turn. And then at the beginning of the attack phase, if there is a soul on your field and there are 2 or more cards in your opponent's enter, you can shoot out one of their enter. And then on play, you can pay a black and a red assassin. Pretty much what we're playing it for. The assassin is really strong. We really want to take advantage of that because P2 for assassin is good. We're playing 3 dark energy. You can pay a black to give minus 8 to one of your opponent's Cygni, and then whenever a Cygni in your opponent's field is banished due to their power becoming 0, you get to enter 1. This pretty much allows us to have the free removal option, and it's really good, especially going first, since we have, since they'll be at a lower power threshold. And this in combination with our Deus can be pretty easy. We can make the minus 2k basically like a 7. We can get rid of anything that has 7k power, or you can attach a soul to it, like minus 8k. Other than that, we do like this just a snipe level 1, level 2. Next, we got 2 copies of Steampunk. Another card we featured in the last deck, but during your turn, when a card underneath your outright moves, a colorless, if you do, targeting your opponent's field gets minus 8k, and they can down 2 level or 2 up to level 2 rigs, and if you do, you can bring this card back from your trash. So this card has a lot more synergy in this deck, especially because we're playing more aggressively. We will be able to find this if we need to. I can definitely argue seeing one of this card, but the minus 8k is actually a lot more prevalent in this deck because it helps set us a lot of better lines. So yeah, I do like this card like a lot. And then last but not least, we are playing 3 copies of, I believe its name is Devil Stinger. It has the on enter ability to discard up to 3 cards, and then you may draw the same number of cards that you discarded. And then it has a life burst effect to vanish target up in your opponent's field. Or this card is pretty good because we do need more ways to slot in red, and the effect to be able to filter is really good. Finding pretty much all of the stuff that we need, finding our dark energies, finding our Kentucky's, and it just kind of accelerates the deck a little bit more, helps us fill up that drop as well if we ever need more targets for our Deuce effect. And overall, it's just an exceptionally nice card. I think it's a better version of Tobio. Tobio does give the 5k power pump, but I do more. Just it can draw up to 3 cards, which is one more than Tobio, and it's you get to choose how many discards you ever want. Tobio, I believe you have to discard 2, whereas this like this. That pretty much wraps up the whole deck pretty much. So if you guys, once again, if you guys just want the list, here you go. Like I said, I think this is a pretty decent way to standardize the list. We are playing enough red to facilitate Kitoki's effect. Inferno. Overall, as far as like a DXM cell goes, 1X is still just a lot more superior in that way. But in the future, when we have more, when we're doing even more Dream Team Deuce, Deuce will definitely shine a lot more. Being the more consistent Dream Team center. Nice. But yeah, I really like Deuce. I think Deuce is definitely going to show even in this set. But I would definitely like to see the Dream Team builds that are going to go with it. I think, yeah, Deuce is just a really interesting center to be able to build. Really fun too. Aside from that, I hope you guys like the video. Let me know what you guys would change in this. How you guys would build Deuce and what you guys are excited for about this. But other than that, yeah, we do have one more DXM deck to cover. This one's actually not going to be a DXM deck. It's going to be a Machina Dream Team deck. Because of how awkward Machina is to build in a DXM shell, it's basically just a worse version of every other two. So I think putting it in a Dream Team shell is a lot better. But I hope you guys stick around for that one, and I will catch you guys in the next one.